Broncos, Taysom Hill making his second start at quarterback. A monster matchup in Tampa with Mahomes and Brady. Bears and Packers on Sunday night. And now on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Ravens at Steelers. The game has been moved twice due to COVID concerns with the Ravens. So as things stand right now, among those who won't play, Lamar Jackson. Last year's MVP is one of several Ravens who have tested positive. So that means Robert Griffin III will make his first start since Week 17 of last year when he faced the Steelers, and he won that game. So, covering this game for us, it's been a busy week for everybody tracking the story. But Aditi Kinkhabwala, she's been all over it. She joins us live right now. First of all, how are you powering your phone through all of this with all of these updates? And also, what more can you tell us right now about those updates?
Well, Colleen, it's kind of absurd because I keep doing these live shots and then looking at my phone because somebody is texting me in the middle of what I'm saying. It feels like every time I start a sentence, the news changes before I finish it. So you are correct. As of now, the hope is that the Steelers and Ravens do indeed kick off on Tuesday night. The Steelers, they're taking the day off. Mike Tomlin gave them Thursday off. He then sent them home yesterday because he said, what's the point in staying in limbo? And then once the decision was indeed made yesterday to kick off on Tuesday, he gave them today off as well. They will come back to work tomorrow. They will have a walkthrough on Monday, and they will hopefully, they hope, play this game on Tuesday. The Ravens, they are still completely, totally up in the air. As you said, they have had negative COVID tests every single day since Monday. So we're still waiting to see what the test results are today, what they are tomorrow. They still haven't decided if they are getting on a plane on Monday or on Tuesday morning. And as you also certainly recall, John Harbaugh last week made the decision to close the facility until Monday out of safety for his players. As you mentioned this, right now, between these two teams, there are 16 players on the reserve COVID list. 12 with the Ravens, 4 with the Steelers. And so, again, this is still sort of up in the air. The Steelers players started the week being extremely frustrated, Colleen, because as you know, this has happened to them already multiple times this season. Week 4, the Titans, they were supposed to play them Thursday before the game. They find out that that game is postponed. This will be the third time that they now are facing a team coming off of a bye. They're definitely feeling a little bit put out about this, but one could make the argument that it's fair. They've sort of felt the repercussions of this season a little bit more than anyone else.
They've been hit with so much COVID shrapnel throughout this entire season, and I feel like everybody really has. And we knew coming into this year that it was going to be a wild one, but this week, especially with Thanksgiving added in and all of the different changes in the schedule and all of these positive tests, I mean, stay by your phone. I'm sure there's going to be more news coming in this morning, so we'll talk to you again in a little bit, Aditi. Guys, let me bring you back in here because obviously this has been a crazy week for both teams, the Ravens. So many positive tests here, the lack of practices. Mike Robb, how does this really affect players and coaches trying to prepare for this game?
Yeah, it affects everybody in the building on both sides, on both teams. And I think the message from the coaches have to be very important. I think Mike Tomlin, who's my coach of the year, has done a great job handling the situation with the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Because everything is up in the air. And there's a psychological part to this, guys. And Shaun, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Football players, you want guys to be going into games being excited about playing the game. You don't want guys to be to have the game plan stale or be focusing on the game way too long, because that's when mistakes start to happen. So as a player, you look at this thing and you're like, okay, am I playing this day? All right, I'm ready to play. I got the game plan. I'm ready to go. And then you get the news that you have to wait. There's a little bit of there's some exhaustion there. There's a little bit of, you're upset. I think that it's on the coaches and it's on the leadership in these organizations to make sure that their teams are ready to get the right message across. Because again, psychologically, players are always ready to play. You want guys to be playing when they're going this way, not plateauing.
Yeah, Mike Robb, that's such a huge part to this, the psychology in it, the mental aspect of it. And I think a lot of that reason is why Mike Tomlin has sent his team home 2 days in a row. He doesn't want them mentally drained by coming in and wondering about it in practice. But, you know, the physical aspect of it's got to be tough. I mean, if you're both for both teams, the Steelers and the Ravens now, you can't go to the facility. So how are you getting your body right? How are you getting a workout in? I know we are creatures of habit, and as a player, you have your routines, and it's all right. I'm gonna get my lift in on this day of the week, so I'm not too sore for the game. And then you get your massage, your acupuncture, all of the physical treatments that you do to get yourself ready. Colleen, you talked about shrapnel, COVID shrapnel. Absolutely, this season, to use a military term, it's foobarbed. And, Aditi did a great job talking about the Steelers and their emotional roller coaster. I'm glad to hear that somebody on this network can multitask with a positive attitude. Mike G, I don't know what you had to say about that.
Multitasking right now. I'm getting, texts and updates about this situation in Baltimore here. Now, they had the one practice squad player last night. That would be tackle Will Holden, not guard Will Holden. Tom Pelissero tweeted guard Will Holden because that's what he was listed at on the Ravens website, right? And Will Holden replied to him and said tackle with an asterisk. I'm a tackle, not a guard.
Yes.
He said, Tom took a screenshot and said, tell your own team. They list you as a guard, regardless. Good to see he's in good spirits, at least, after testing positive for COVID. But the hope is that only the one positive means that maybe the Ravens are starting to get their way out of it. And there's going to be that period of, 5-6 days or so where you're going to have positive tests when you've got a situation like this. So the hope is that they're starting to come out of it at this point. We'll see. So Will Holden right now expected to be added. Loved him in Sunset Boulevard, by the way. No, it's a different guy. Anyway, Will Holden, the latest guy to be added. And the hope is that we're going to get ourselves to Tuesday. That's a different Holden. Get ourselves to Tuesday and be able to actually play this game, Colleen.
We heard Aditi talk just a few minutes ago about how the Steelers in the beginning of the week, there was frustration because this is the second game now that has been postponed for them. But we saw Calais Campbell tweet this out just about the actual virus and getting it and how it is brutal. And they just want to get everything under control. And now it seems like, and there it is right there. He was responding to Tom Pelissero. We just want to contain the outbreak. Speaking from experience, you don't want to catch this. It's brutal. I pray no one else has to go through this. This is bigger than football. And, hopefully at this point, we're going to see fewer and fewer positive tests as they get everything sort of under control there. But yeah, this has to be mentally such a challenge because even just for us on this show, when we have to adapt and pivot and we're all prepared to talk about one thing and then we have to talk about something else, it's not a big deal because that's such a minor thing. But for them, this is their entire life and week and day-to-day things are just constantly changing. And that I feel like
midstream adjust.
Learned in this year is just to adapt, survive, and advance. And that is what we're doing this morning as well on the show. Good Morning Football Weekend. So let's get to the walkthrough. Talk about some of the other big games coming your way. Here we go. It is the walkthrough, starting with another AFC matchup with playoff implications here. Titans-Colts for the second time in 3 weeks. I feel like I just saw these teams. It kind of feels like it was so long ago, too. Indy dominated the second half in their first meeting, mostly because the Titans had a complete special teams breakdown. They won that one 34-17. The Colts did in Nashville. Both teams are 7-3 and looking to take control here of the South. So, Shaun, what's your take on the rematch?
Yeah, Colleen, it's interesting we call this the walkthrough because that seems like all the teams can get away with these days is just walkthroughs. They can't even practice. But both of these teams, they want to run through you, and they're both coming off of huge victories. Obviously, the Titans just spanked the Baltimore Ravens, and nobody wanted any part of Derrick Henry. So these are two very physical teams. I will say this, the Colts are kind of limping into this one. So a couple of game time decisions, Quentin Nelson, their powerful left guard, and their center, Ryan Kelly, who has quietly been one of their MVPs in that O-line the last couple of years. They're both questionable. Yeah. So those could be big blows for the Colts trying to protect Phillip Rivers.
That's a you.